Hello there everyone, Morphin Reviewer 97 here, and I'm back with another Power Rangers figure review. Now today I'm going to be reviewing the classic Power Rangers in Space Galaxy Glider figures. So this set of figures actually came out in 1998, and there's not actually much online about these figures, any information and stuff, so I'm kind of just going on what the box says really. But as always with these reviews, basically I'm going to start off by showing you the figures themselves, comparing them to what they look like from the Rangers from the show, and then showing you all the articulation each figure has, and basically then moving on to the extra pieces, so like the weapons and then the gliders themselves. Now, I've never seen a review on these particular figures. I have seen a review on YouTube about the classic 5-inch figures, but this was actually different to the normal 5-inch line that they released in 1998, since these figures are actually a bit smaller. They're only 10 centimeters, so they're only about 4 inches instead of 5 inches. And in my actual personal opinion, I do actually think these figures look a lot better. I believe this was the only way you could actually get the gliders themselves, was by buying the Galaxy Glider figures. Now, I did buy these figures second hand, so some of the pieces on the figures could be missing. Originally, I could only get the 5 Rangers and not Yellow, so I did have to buy her separate. That's why I do have the box for her, and she is complete, so I will show you that after. But with all that being said, let's get on to the review. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just start off by showing you the box itself, since that's probably the best thing to do. So for each Ranger, they did release a separate figure, just like this. And each Ranger would be on the front, so with blue it would be the Blue Ranger, and the Blue Ranger would be shown here. So it would be all that for the different Rangers. I'll just go through this really quickly, just show you the box itself. Now on the back, it does show all the other Rangers, as you can see, except the Silver Ranger. And it just tells you a bit of information up there about the figure itself. And there's the other stuff you could get back in the day in the line. So that's what the boxes to the figures would actually look like. Now I'm going to take Yellow out of her box and actually put her with the others. Okay everyone, so now that we have Yellow out of the box, she's standing with the others. So as you can see, we've got the full set here. Pretty cool. What I'll do first is I'll take each figure and show you that, show you the articulation of each figure as well. And then we'll get on to reviewing the Galaxy Gliders after, as I might have said in the first part of the video. But I just thought I would show you what they all look like together once we're on the Galaxy Gliders. So here we have all the figures now off the Galaxy Gliders, so I can show you each of them one by one. So why don't we start off with the first Ranger we saw in the show, the Red Ranger. So of course the Red Ranger's name in the show was Andros, and he was the first Ranger we saw. But I do really like these figures. The one thing I do like about this set of figures is that they're not bulky, they're really not like all muscly and everything. They do actually look like the real Rangers from the show. Usually with the figures in the past, like the Zeo figures and stuff like that, where they had the action feature, they were really too bulky and they didn't look anything like the body shape of the Rangers themselves. So it's pretty cool to have figures like these that actually resemble the Rangers quite well. But with that being said, I will just show you up close. So that's what the helmet looks like to the figure, and I'll compare it to the show's one. So there's the show's one. As you can see, they did do a pretty good job representing the helmet. They've even got the small lines on the sides here, as you can see. So now I'll just do a comparison to what the figure looks like from the Ranger from the show. Pretty cool, does look quite similar. So, of course, the articulation on these figures is all going to be the same. So I will rush through the others, but I'll show you quite a bit of the articulation on Red Ranger. The head, you can actually move an entire 360. The arms, you can move sort of 360 like that. You can spin them around. These figures are old, so some of the joints on the figures are hard to move around, like this. But both arms do move around. You do have a bend in the elbow, and that's on both arms. So that's about it with the arm movement. The leg movement, you can go about that far out and about that far back, so you can't go all the way back, unfortunately. But the figures do bend at the knees. And that's all they really have for articulation. Not much articulation with these figures, unfortunately, but overall they are still pretty decent. Now, of course, we've got many different figures that have been released for in space throughout the whole franchise of Power Rangers and the toy line, we've obviously had these figures, the Galaxy Glider figures. We had the standard 5-inch figures that came out with this in 1998. Then we had the Legacy line figures, and they released the In-Space Rangers for them. And then after that, the brand new one now is we've got the Lightning Collection figures. So they've released yellow. I do have to say, although these figures are quite cool, the Lightning Collection, of course, is just over the top compared to these. So the next figure we'll move on to is blue. Why not? So I won't show you too much of the articulation. I'll just show you the helmet. So there's a helmet there, and I will compare it to the show for you. So that's what the show one looks like. And then that's the actual Ranger themselves and what it looks like in the show. So again, pretty decent. Now the figures themselves do have, this is just a sticker, it isn't painted on, so they can peel from time to time. But the figures also do have some quite nice chrome, some gold chrome on the collar and obviously on the belt itself. But overall, again, really nice. Now the articulation is the same, I'll just go through real quickly. Of course, spin the head 360. Arms can move all the way around, bend at the elbow, and then legs that far back, that far to the side, and then of course you can move the knee. So there's Blue Ranger. So the next Ranger I'll show you is the Black Ranger. As you can see, pretty cool figure again. I will show you the helmet up close. So there's a helmet. If I move his hand, there's a helmet compared to the show. Pretty decent again. And there's the actual Ranger figure compared to the show. So articulation is all the same, so I won't really go through articulation on this figure, just to save some time, but you do get the idea. Same articulation, same movements, but really cool looking figure. Let's move on to pink next. So here's the Pink Ranger. There's what her helmet looks like compared to the show. And that's what the figure itself looks like compared to the Ranger from the show. So, Pink, although she's the girl, she does have the exact same articulation as the Red Ranger. So not much difference there. Now, originally, the Pink Ranger did actually come with a skirt, just like the Yellow Ranger here. And so yeah, Pink originally came with a skirt, so that's the only thing I'm missing on here, as well as also the accessory that came with it. But again, not a bad figure for the year, pretty decent. So we'll do Yellow Ranger next, since she's next to Pink. There's what the helmet looks like compared to the show. And there's what the actual Ranger figure looks like compared to the show. So really good resemblance. Now again, I'm not showing you the articulation on each figure because it'll just take up some time, but they all have the same again. So at this point, I will tell you that the actual accessory that came with each Ranger when you got them brand new was this Astro Blaster right here. So this was the Astro Blaster that each figure would have. I'm missing it for all the other figures, but I do have it for yellow. And that would just go in the side, just like that, and just sit there like that. So pretty decent. It also had a little peg, just like the Mighty Morphin Flip Heads had. So you can place it in the hand that the peg's in. Just there. And then that's what the Astro Blaster would look like in a hand. Last figure I'm now going to review, guys, is the Silver Ranger. So, really cool. Silver Ranger, of course, came later on in the series. I will explain all the Rangers' names afterwards, but here's the Silver Ranger. Now, I do like the silver on this figure. Most of the time, the silver that they use on figures isn't a great silver. It's more like a greyish colour. But this is kind of a mixture between the both. It is grey, but it's kind of like a shiny grey. But it's really cool. I do like the gold chrome again on this figure. It does go well with the silver quite nicely. But there's a comparison. The Ranger helmet from the show. Again, they didn't do a bad job. I'm just amazed they got the lines on the sides. And then there's a full comparison to the actual Ranger from the show. Now I think the Silver Ranger originally came with a different weapon. I might be wrong on that, but he might have came with his Super Silverizer, which was his weapon in the show. This figure does have the exact same articulation, but I would be careful about spinning the figures, as the pegs can sometimes come loose to the arms. That's the only thing to have in old figures like these, is the joints and everything can sort of become loose and stuff over time. But again, same articulation as all the other Rangers. So everybody, now that all the figures have been shown, we'll go on to reviewing the actual Galaxy Gliders themselves. So if I just put the figures up here. So now that the figures are up there, we can get on to reviewing the Galaxy Gliders. If you didn't know anything about the Galaxy Gliders in the show themselves would actually be used quite often. It would actually get the Rangers down from the Astro Megaship down to Earth. So really cool. Basically they're all the same looking, they just are in the different Ranger colour that's representing obviously each Ranger. They do have a shiny metallic sticker on each base and some chrome on the front. And they each have like an orange plastic bit for representing some sort of lights, although these don't have any obviously electronics or lights themselves. Now, one of the features that these actually have that make them so good is, if I can show you this guys, if I pull it back, you can hear that sort of clicking and let go, they would actually release themselves. And as you hear there, the wheels move at the bottom. Just like that. So each figure would move like that when you would put the figure on top. I do like that feature that these had. They didn't have to add that on, but it's really cool. So I'll just show you each one individually just real quick, since they're all the same. Here's black. Here's the yellow. And I do really like this bright yellow that they used. Here's the red. And here's the pink lastly. So really cool. Now, they did actually release a silver Galaxy Glider that I don't have, but back in 1998 they did release what's called the Galaxy Cycles, and they released a set of them representing the bike or the motorcycle that the Silver Ranger used in that series. So this is what the Galaxy Cycle looks like, and the Silver Ranger would use this in a few episodes of In Space. So originally when this cycle came out, they did one for the Blue Ranger, the Black Ranger and the Red Ranger. And I will get an image of each of them up for you guys now. So that's what each of them looked like. Basically the exact same style as this, but just in a different colour. Now the cool thing about this actual cycle is, yes, you can put the Ranger on it. It does stand up on his own, so it is a nice display piece. And you can sort of roll it as well, because the wheels are also rollable. But the thing that made this so cool is, if you lift these up like this and fold out the bottom part here, it would become its own sort of Galaxy Glider. Now of course it's not the official Galaxy Glider that the Silver Ranger had, but it's cool to just have a representation of it anyway, since I couldn't find the Silver Galaxy Glider anywhere. But really cool. And that would just lie flat. And of course it does have the pegs on each side, so the Rangers do have the pegs at the bottom that you could put obviously the Silver Ranger on it like that. So really cool. And I thought that was actually a really good thing to do back in the day. If nobody could afford to get the actual Galaxy Glider figures, they could get a bit more feature and action and playability with these galaxy cycles. Easy enough to transform it back into the bike, you just fold the sides down. I'll just explain what each name for the Ranger was. So, Red Ranger, as I explained in the beginning, was called Andros. The Black Ranger at the back was called Carlos. The Blue Ranger was called TJ. Pink Ranger was called Cassie. Yellow Ranger was Ashley. And then obviously the Silver Ranger was called Zane. But I just thought I would add that little bit to the end of this video, just in case you didn't know the names of the Rangers. But chances are, by now you've seen the series, and that's the reason why you're watching this video. Now I know this review wasn't fully action-packed, but they are just basic figures, so there's not much articulation or anything to them. There's not too much to explain. They're more of like sort of display kind of pieces. You could play with them, but they're cool to have just as a display piece. So, if you did enjoy this review, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. This is more from Reviewer 97, signing out, and I will see you guys on my next review. Thanks for watching.